In this video, we discuss learning outcome number 6 of lesson 7.1, which is about finding the sample size necessary to estimate a population proportion to a desired accuracy at a desired level of confidence. Now, these are just the variables that we've used in our notation for confidence intervals for population proportions. Remember, P is the population proportion we're trying to estimate. P hat is the sample proportion. N is the sample size or the number of sample values that we have. E is the margin of error, and Z sub alpha over 2 is a critical value. It corresponds to a certain level of confidence, and it is a Z-score separating an area of alpha over 2 in the right tail from the rest of that area under the standard normal distribution probability density function. Now, if we know some estimate, so we have some prior estimate of the population proportion P. That known estimate might be called P hat. If we want to find the appropriate sample size that corresponds to a desired degree of accuracy or desired error, as well as a desired degree of confidence, all we have to do is take the equation for the margin of error and solve it for the sample size n. So we've got this formula over here. The margin of error is equal to this critical value, Z sub alpha over 2, and that depends on the confidence level, times this square root, which is the standard deviation of that sampling distribution of the sample proportion, P hat. Now, if we know P hat, we can find Q hat. If we know what our desired confidence level is, we can find the appropriate Z-score that goes with that. And if we know our desired margin of error, we can fill that in here. So the only unknown in this equation is the sample size n. With just a little bit of algebra, just dividing both sides by Z sub alpha over 2, and then squaring both sides to get rid of the square root, and then cross multiplying, and then dividing by e squared, we're able to get that sample size by itself. So all we need in order to find the desired sample size that goes with that degree of confidence that we want, as well as the error that we want, is to find that Z-score and then fill everything in and solve for n. Now, if we don't have a prior estimate for P hat, in that case, we tend to use P hat and Q hat are both equal to 1/2. We say we don't really know what P hat is, so our best guess is 1 and 2. So we'll say, let's just say that it's 1/2. And then we'll say we have a probability of success of 1/2 and a probability of failure of 1/2, because we really don't know. We really don't know what's going on. So we're just going to use 1/2 for both of those. If we do that, we can do exactly the same thing that we talked about in the last slide. Just replace the P hat and Q hat with 1/2. 1/2 times 1/2 is 1/4. 1/4 is the same as 0.25. You know, that's 1/4 out of $1 is 1/4 of $1. So we would use this formula instead if we have no prior estimate of P hat, or no prior estimate of the population proportion P, which would be represented by P hat. Now, whenever you're doing these problems, whenever you're trying to solve for that sample size n, you always want to round up. If n turns out to not be a whole number, and most of the time it's not, round up to the nearest whole number if there is any fraction of a number remaining. The reason for that is that the computed n value from that formula corresponds to a desired error. If we round up, we might make the error smaller. It might be slightly less than what we wanted, but it's totally fine for our error to be smaller than what we wanted. We're just not comfortable letting the error be more than what we want. Remember, error is a bad thing. We want to be as accurate as possible. So we want to minimize the error. So if we round up, it makes the error smaller, which is fine. If we rounded down, that would make the error larger, which is not fine. Then we wouldn't actually meet that desired error. When we round up, that's sufficient to give us the desired error. If we round down, we're going to be slightly insufficient. It's going to be slightly off. It's going to be not quite what we want. And so we don't do that. We always round up. For example, if we solve for n using that formula, and we get n equals 1067.11. If I'm just rounding that number, I might typically round to 1067, but if I'm thinking of this as a sample size that goes with a certain error, rather than rounding down, which would give me an error that is more than I was trying to obtain, I'm going to round up, and that's going to give me a slightly smaller error. And that's a good thing because we want to minimize error, not maximize it. So let's do an example. This is dealing with lefties, people that are left-handed. Problem statement says, suppose we want to find a confidence interval for the percentage of California residents who are left-handed. And we want that confidence interval with an error of no more than 3 percentage points and a confidence level of 99%. So whenever we find a confidence interval, we want to be 99% sure that the true percentage of California residents that are left-handed lies within that range. And we want that range to be no more than 3% around some center value p hat. The question says to find the sample size needed to accomplish this. In part A, we will assume that there is no known estimate of the percentage of left-handed California residents. In part B, we'll say, and maybe there is some prior studies, or there are some prior studies, and those prior studies suggest that 10% of Californians are left-handed. Well, in the absence of information, we will assume that half of the residents are left-handed. We'll say, I don't know if who's left-handed or who's right-handed, so let's assume half are right-handed and half are left-handed. So p hat and q hat are both 1/2 or 0.5. In that case, p hat times q hat is 0.5 times 0.5, which is 0.25. Then our error formula can be manipulated to solve for n, and we get this. So then all we need is the z-score that corresponds to the level of confidence that we want, or that confidence interval that we were trying to obtain, and then that error, that maximum error that we want. The 99% confidence level tells us that alpha is the complement of that, or 1%, but in decimal form. Z sub alpha over 2 can be found a couple of different ways. Like you could just draw a standard normal distribution, put 99% of the area in the middle, take the remaining remaining 1% and put half in the right tail and half in the left tail, and then say, okay, I'm looking for that z-score that separates that top half of a percentage from that bottom 99.5%. So then we would say, okay, I can go to my table and look in the body of the table for an area of 0.995 and look for the z-score that way. I could also use Excel, and we could use that norm S inverse and say I want the area to the left to be 0.995 and solve for z. Or we could say that 99% confidence level, that is one of our top 3 most common confidence levels. So let's go to the bottom right-hand corner of table A2 for that positive z-scores page and look for a confidence level of 99%. It's right here. Well, we're told right here in that bottom right-hand corner that this corresponding z-score is z equals 2.575. Okay, so we've got our z-score, and the margin of error, well, we were told that the maximum error we want is 3%. And remember, the margin of error is the maximum likely error given that 99% confidence level that we're seeking. So we want that error to be 0.03. That's the max, so it can be 0.03 or less than that. So now that we've got the error and the z-score, we just substitute those into the formula. We do a little bit of arithmetic, and we get n, the sample size is approximately equal to 1,841.84. Now, we cannot survey 0.84 of a person to ask them whether they're left or right-handed, so we have to round. We always round up because we are okay with our error being smaller than we wanted it to be, but we're not okay with that error being larger than we want it to be. If we rounded down, we would be more off in our estimate than we want it to be. We'd like to be more accurate rather than less accurate. In order to be more accurate rather than less accurate, we're going to round up. So this n value suggests that we need to survey a simple random sample of 1,842 California residents to estimate the true percentage of lefties to within 3 percentage points with a 99% degree of confidence. Or in other words, we need to interview 1,842 California residents to have a confidence interval where the error is no more than 3%. We're going to have some p hat, we're going to add 3% and subtract 3%, or add less than 3% and subtract less than 3% in order to get that range. And we will be 99% sure that the true percentage of California residents who are left-handed lies in that range, provided that we have samples of 1,842 California residents and we do this multiple times. 99 out of 100 of those times, that range would contain the percentage. I don't know what just happened there. Okay, so now let's go back to this part of the question, solution to part B. Now part B does exactly the same thing that we were doing in part A, but this time we have some prior studies that suggest that 10% of Californians are left-handed. So we've got p hat. P hat is equal to 0.10. So this time we still use the error formula and we solve for n, but that p hat and q hat are still in there. Now p hat was 10% in decimal form, so q hat is going to be 90% in decimal form. The 99% confidence level still corresponds to that same alpha value, so we still have the same z-score as before, and the margin of error is still 0.03. The only thing that has changed here is that now instead of saying there's a 50% chance that someone is left-handed and a 50% chance that someone is right-handed, saying that that's the best guess we have. Instead of that, we're saying the best guess we have for left-handed residents is that 10% of them are left-handed and 90% are right-handed. Let's use that data instead. So we've got all of these values, we just substitute into the formula, and this time, look, we get 663.06. That's much less than we would have had to survey if we didn't have that prior information. So what this is suggesting is that we need to survey a simple random sample of 664 California residents in order to estimate the true percentage of left-handed California residents to within 3 percentage points with a 99% degree of confidence. So we don't have to interview nearly as many people when we have that prior information, that prior estimate of the percentage of lefties in California. With prior information, we can have a sample size that's smaller. In the absence of information, we have to have a sample size that is larger. And this time it's almost 3 times as large as the sample size that is needed when we know that p hat is 10%.